I feel a bit rusty. It's been a few days since I did anything for you, but here's what I've got, and I hope it's going to be relatively simple so we can get back in the groove and also kind of interesting. All right, this is a sci-fi or steampunk globe. That's what it is, and I'm providing these two images. This one with all these different angles so you could zoom in and you could see the parts hopefully, and this one, and I think we'll model against this one. So I've brought that into Blender and I've moved it so my 3D cursor is right down the bottom, and also I press 3 to look from the side so I can move it back. So this is the front view, and we're going to start modeling this, and it's a bit of a work in progress. I may add some things to it, I'm not quite sure, but this is what we got so far. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's start by bringing in a circle, and let's go for something like 22 vertices. All right, so there's my circle there. I'm going to go into edit mode by pressing tab and press S to scale and see how close we are. We're close. I'm going to extrude up, and I'm going to go into wireframe, and I'm going to select my reference image, and I'm going to press GX, and I'm going to move it a little bit like this. All right, so let's make this. Let's press E to extrude and come up, and S to scale, and E to extrude, come up, E to extrude again, and S to scale, E, and up to here. This one looks like it's angled a bit. E will come up again, angle a bit. I'm not sure if I'm going to like this, but this is what we have so far. And let's just let's go E and S and come in a little ways. Actually, let's come right to this spot here. Maybe we could use that circle, and F to make a face. Let's go look in solid view. Okay, so let's go in. Let's first of all turn on the cavity shader, and we'll leave it like that. Okay, press 2 for edge selection. Let's grab that edge and let's do some beveling here. So you can do that. Actually, let's not select anything else. Just this one, and let's bevel that. And let's bevel this. Control B. You'll notice I've got 3 edges in there, and I'm going to also bevel these little edges inside as well. We're going to need to have those beveled. We'll bevel this one, and we'll bevel this one. I will be putting on a subdivision surface. Let's try 1, and this is what I get. If you don't think that's a pleasing shape, feel free to do something slightly different. Let's grab that face and see how nice it comes up if we use that. Now that's a separate thing, so I'm going to Shift D to duplicate, P to break it out, and I'm going to extrude up and just see. All right, I don't want the subdivision on that. And it looks okay in terms of the diagram, so let's do this. Let's come up to here, extrude up, and scale in like that. I'm going to go back into 1 vertex selection, extrude up, and let's go E and come out and up. Just come up like that, and that's going to be fine. Let's get rid of that top face though. We don't need that. In fact, let's slash key to focus on that, and we'll press 3 for face selection and get rid of that. And let's bevel. I think I'll grab this one and this one, and Control B to bevel. Put 3 edges in there, and I'll grab both of these as well and put 3 in there. So yeah, we don't need a subdivision on that. Okay, so this is what we get. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start making the sphere. So I think I'll just select there and bring my 3D cursor there. Let's look from the front again. So let's do this. Now there are different ways to do a sphere, but I think for us we're going to use the UV sphere, and I'm going to stick with the default values. So let's bring that roughly into the center and scale it up. Let's just scale it up until we get the approximate size. And if we're off a little bit on this, That'll affect this as well, but that's okay. So we have an outer sphere here, and I can just shade smooth for now that guy, and he'll sit there. And let me just think for a second. We're going to create the glass part here, but the globe itself is inside. So what we're going to do right now is take this and Shift D to duplicate it and scale it down. And you can't see it, but we're going to do something like that. And I don't know how big to make it at this point. I don't know if you can see that inner yellow. I'm going to do that. And we'll take the outer one. I'm just going to call this outer for the moment. Hide that. It's part of it. Actually, I've got the inner one selected there, so I'm going to P to break it out. So I've got that. I'm going to call that one inner. So I've got the outer, and I've got the inner. Okay. Good. So the next piece we're going to need is this piece here. And to do that, I think we will take from the side, Control 3. I'm going to Shift and Alt and click that edge. Look from the front, Shift D to duplicate it, and I'm just going to pull it out at first. And I think I'm going to have to scale it out. Pull it in and move it to about the middle of this one. So something like this. Maybe I'll scale it a bit more. Until you get it pretty much following the curve. So I'm just scaling it again. We won't get it perfect, but that's pretty good. I'm going to P and break that out. So I have that there. Now I'm going to go into edit mode on this and one for vertex. And I'm going to get rid of those vertices, and I'm going to think about this one coming in. And what else have I got? That just comes in there. Okay. Let's see. Let's try taking this, E to extrude, and just G, and bring it in kind of perpendicular to this surface. Then let's take this point and let's round it, because we have this part. Shift Control B, pull, and I'm going to just leave it at 3 vertices. So let's see how this is all working out for us. Alright, so we have this and it curves there. Let's give this a try. Now that's a mesh right now. Let's convert this to a curve. Then come to the curve dialog box under geometry, under bevel depth. Hold down Shift as you pull to the right on that. And see if we can get this to look okay. We'll deal with the top later if we have to. Let's try shade smooth. And just look at this. Okay. Let's try Control 2 actually. Okay, I'm just going to lower the size of this a little bit. And that's probably is relatively as good as we're going to get. I'm just thinking about this. So let's do this. To create this, let's start with this piece here. Let's just start working on it. Let's do this. Let's select that. And my 3D cursor is there, huh? Okay, so let's actually go into edit mode and select that. Shift D, rotate Y -90, and scale it down. But before we do anything else, let's push it out. Let's P to break it out. So we have this. Go into edit mode. I'm going to pull it back up. And we're going to get rid of some of this stuff here. I think what I'll do is we'll select those edges and Control plus a couple of times until I get just to there. We'll get rid of those, so I leave that one, so I've got some depth going in. Okay. And pull it out a little bit. And just try to imagine and see if this is going to work and what I would need to do to this. Just scaling it again a little bit. I could probably work like that. So let's take that. Okay. Let's take this and E and S and bring it in until it closes over there. And let's bevel this one just with 3. And think about this. Just going to move that point a little bit. Now to make this cylinder here, this thing in gold, I'm going to select all of these points here. Shift D to duplicate, P to break them out. And now I'm going to come over to the curves, and I'm just going to increase the size of that. Okay, it's not bad. We're not perfectly on, but it's not bad. Let's see if I move this a little bit. Start to lose my curves. So, all right, look, you know, we're getting something. It's not perfectly on the diagram, but I think we're going to be okay. So let's take that piece and come up here and change the resolution to 3, and then convert that to a mesh. And then we'll take this and we'll just F to make a face, which is going to be fine. Now we'll bevel this. And this one I'll put on a subdivision. We can try one and see how well that works. And I think that looks okay there. And this one, I might want to rotate this one to follow the curve like that, and it might be a little bit more convincing, considering we're off of the reference image a little bit. But this is basically what we're going to get. Now there's a little lip on that, so I should actually, and I may change that to 2 subdivisions. Let's bring in another edge. That just comes in on an angle. Let's dissolve that. Let's take this edge here and press GG for edge slide and just slide it back a little bit. And it still is a little bit on an angle, so I'm just going to press R to rotate and just, you know, eyeball it so it looks like I've got a pretty decent edge. I'm going to take this and I want to expand it out, so I'm going to press E and Alt S and push. Pull that out a ways like that, and then we'll bring in another edge loop underneath to tighten that up, and an edge loop back and forward, and then we'll have a look at this. Okay, let's see if I scale that one up. Does it really make a difference? All right, man, looks good enough. Be nice to have a bolt back there just for, you know, something. So we got an edge on that one, we got an edge on that one, and we're kind of on the diagram, reference diagram, whatever you want to call it. All right, so let's move on now. What we're going to do is we need to create this piece here, which is on the top there, which you can see. Let's try looking at one of these ones here. That thing right there. Okay, and it's going to go right here. Let's see if I can select that edge. Bring my 3D cursor there. May not be in the best place. Actually, we may be better just focusing on that whole thing. So it's not inside. With my 3D cursor there, and I've hidden everything else, so I'm going to bring in a circle, and I'm going to make it 24 vertices. And everything comes back. Okay, I'm going to look from the side, and I got to make that straight part. I'm going to come up, and then I'm going to come up and in, and this is where holes are going to be. So I want a relatively big space. I think E and S, I'll just come in like that. Let's leave that. Let's bevel this part here. Let's bevel this part here. That's with just Control B. And to make the spaces, we'll add another edge loop there. Let's look down from the top. And let's try just selecting those 4 and leaving 2 spaces, let's say. All right, so yeah, like that. And where are we going? There, there, there. And yeah, okay, so we've got that. Now to make the hole, we're going to press I to inset, pull in a little bit. And then loop tools, I right click, loop tools, circle. And I'm going to switch to individual origins. I'm just going to scale them down a bit. I'm going to press I to inset again. Come in, give it a little bit of space. E and Alt S, and I guess I'm pushing to make them come down. Now probably would get rid of those, but for the moment let's put on a Control 1, maybe Control 2, and this is what we get. I can leave those for now. All right, let's look from the front and scale it down and just start rotating it into place. And a little hard to tell, but we're just going to have to position this. I'm just looking at this top line, trying to get it to follow the contour. And let's see. Okay. Maybe I'll come in and in face selection, I'm going to select all of these in here. And I'm going to delete those. Okay, X faces. And I may take this, and I think I want it a bit thicker, so I'm going to switch back to median point and go to normal, and I should be able to scale it in the Z, SZ, just like this, and then pull it out a little bit, and I can still rotate if need be. I think that's okay, unless I'm missing something. So we're going to have that there, and we're also going to have these pieces with that. So let's have a look at those as well. Let's come in. So this is still a curve right now. And I just have to be confident in the fact that I want it like that. I can get rid of that one. It still sticks in. I think I'm pretty happy with it. So let's go with actually 4 resolution. A little bit higher, and yeah, okay, and I'll delete some stuff off in a moment. Let's convert that to a mesh, and we'll look at this in wireframe. Actually, this thing is starting to get in my way. I'm going to hide that. I'll bring that one back. Let's hide the inner and the outer. And so this is the piece I'm thinking about right here. Okay, that curve there. And so I will go into wireframe and 2, and I will select that. Control plus a couple of times, look from the front. Actually, I can go here. I'm going to delete those vertices, and that's going to leave it just sticking into there, and that's okay. Now, I've got nothing on it, so I'm going to do actually Control 2. And let's bring this back and make sure it's okay. It looks good. Okay, so I need this piece, so I'm going to use some of this. Now, because of where my edges are, like, actually, I'll use this one. This one looks pretty good. Let's switch back to global. This is how I want to do it. Shifty and scale it out. P to break it out. And I'm going to take this, pull it down to here, and extrude basically what I think I'm seeing there. And I think that's going to be okay. So I'm going to just F to make a face. Actually, before I do that, Alt N recalculate outsides. There, you see some of my polys were flipped. Okay, F to make a face and F to make a face. I'm going to shut this off for now. And I have this piece, and I may have to just move it a little bit. But that's good right there. That may actually be too wide, but I can always make it smaller. So for now, I'm going to select those edges and Control B to bevel. And I'll put on Shade Smooth, and I will put on at least Control 1. And I'm just going to adjust the position. Something like that. Okay. I'm okay with it being that thick. You know, it might be fine. And this one is pretty much off the side, right? So what I'll do now is I'm just going to move it a bit. I'm going to bring my 3D cursor there, I think, and I'm going to bring in a cylinder, and I probably can get away with 16, and I need nothing on the end so that they're open. And I'll scale it down and move it. And what do I need to do? Rotate Y 90. Did I do that? Yeah. Okay, scale it down. Look at the diagram. Go in a wireframe. And come up here. I feel like it'll just look to me like I had lost some faces. Huh. That was weird. Alright, I'm going to take that. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull it in for the moment like that. Shade Smooth. It's going good. And now I need that piece. So I'm going to take this right here. And I'm going to Shift D to duplicate it. And you know what? I think to make life easier, I'm going to take this and, well, my 3D cursor's there actually. Close enough. I'm going to take this and set the origin to the 3D cursor. And set the geometry to origin, and we're at least close. We're in the ballpark. Okay, I'm going to rotate this until it's pretty much perpendicular with this piece and scale it. And start bringing it in and hope that it's going to look okay. And let's see what that is like. Okay, so we have the hole in it, don't we? So let's close that hole. Let's just select an F to make a face. We seem to be right in the middle, but I think I'm just going to scale it down a bit. And we seem to be into the surface of things. So when I'm happy, I'm going to be joining this stuff. And I may, so that's got one. I'm going to go ahead and apply that subdivision. And this one, I'm going to go ahead and apply that as well. And I'm going to join these. So this is the one I've got. And I need it down here and I need it up here. Okay. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to select the globe itself. Because that's nice and central. And Shift S cursor to select it. That's going to bring my 3D cursor right in the middle of that. I'm going to select the piece that I want to move, which is this, or duplicate. And I'm going to switch to 3D cursor for my pivot. So now all I have to do is Shift D, looking orthographically in one front view, and press R and move it and hold Shift to go slower. I'm just moving my mouse and position it there. And I'll do another one. Shift D, R, and I'll come down to here. I'm going to hold my mouse around here and let us hope that it looks like they made contact. It looks pretty good. And the only thing I see is that they're not equally spaced out, and that's because there's another piece of equipment here. All right, so that's all right. So it's coming along. It is coming along. So the next thing that we'll do is we'll do these pieces. All right, that piece with that. All right, so let's do that. So let's look at this. And in 3 face selection, I'm going to Shift Alt and click right there. Grab that. And let's just see how close we are. All right, we need more than that. So that's fine. What I'm going to do is I've got that selected. I'm going to Shift D to duplicate and P to break it out. So select that piece again, go into edit mode and S to, not S. Switch over to median point again and now S to scale and just bring it out. Now a little off of the reference image, but that's the best we're going to be able to do. I'm going to turn off the subdivision for now. Take this and F to make a face, this F to make a face, and with both of them selected, Control B and put in the 3 for my bevel. Turn that back on. So I have close to what I have here. I now need a cylinder right in the middle coming out of that, so we can select this and Shift S, cursor to selected, and we can bring in a cylinder again, and this can be, I think it could probably be 16. Let's take that and look, make sure we're looking from the front, rotate it, and just drag it out and scale it down until we think we have the size we want. Let's see what that looks like. Let's shade smooth that. We'll get a better connection when we put a subdivision on this. So let's start with that, and then what we're going to do is these pieces, there actually is a little bit of a hole, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press E and S, and I'm going to just start coming in, and I will leave it at that, except I'll bevel this edge, and then I'm going to do Control 1 so it looks a little bit better. And I think that's probably going to be okay. I mean, I can take this and scale it a bit. I can rotate it still a little bit. Something along that line. And I think we'll build this part and then we'll copy the whole thing and we'll rotate it down similarly. All right, just remember to keep saving. Yeah, so let's build that gear-like thing, which is actually why it would be called Steampunk. So my 3D cursor's there, that's fine. I'm going to bring in a circle, and I'm going to actually go with the 32 vertices. I'll scale it down a bit, but I'm going to bring it out here so we can see what we're doing. Let's look from the top, and 1 for that, yeah. Okay, so what do I want to do? What do I want to do? I want to look at the picture again. Okay. Alrighty. I feel like 32 is not what I want. Let me bring my 3D cursor there and get rid of that, and let me try 24. I think we'll get a better result. I'm going to select it all in edge selection and try select, check or deselect. And then I'm going to press E and S and pull this in. Nah, I think I'll go out. S will come out like that. I'm going to switch to individual origins and then press S and sort of make these a little bit straighter. And I may go back to median point and scale it in a little bit more. I may start with that. Okay, in edge selection, Shift Alt and click these edges. And really a good way to do this is to press Control as I click. And I can get further like that. E and S just come on in a certain ways, just like that. Just make yourself a gear. All right, something like that. Hopefully that's okay. Okay, I'm going to give this some thickness like this. And that's basically what I'm going to use, but I'm going to poke something through it. So let's do this. Let's take this edge, Shift D to duplicate it, just pull it up, P to break it out. let's use that and just push it through, and then fill that, and then Control B to bevel, and just do a bigger bevel, sort of a rounded thing like that. And I might want it a little smaller so I see the hole, and in which case I will need to bevel that edge, at least that edge. I don't know about the bottom one. So Control B. So something went weird there. I don't know if you see that. Okay, so just take it all and Alt N, recalculate outside. That's probably what it is. So we'll do that. Just a bigger bevel so you can see a bit of a rounded hole. Okay, so let's, for this one we can probably just shade smooth, but for this one I'm going to put on a bevel, and I'm going to switch it up to 3, 0.01 we'll start with. And for these corners I'm also going to come down to geometry and switch this to arc to be a little nicer. I can shade smooth. I will probably need to do some work on this, so let's do this. Let's add an edge loop coming out here. And we'll do the same on the bottom. Just don't push it all the way or you'll lose all of your bevel. And let's take this and start getting into position. All right, and no, I'm going to have to scale it down a bit. I'm probably going to scale the gear a little bit bigger and scale the whole thing down until I get the approximate width. Okay. Something like that. Okay, but I'm going to follow my model a little bit more than the diagram at times. I will think about this hole if I care. Now I'm going to select a piece of the gear, and I'm going to switch back to normal, and I'm going to scale in the Z and give it some thickness. It's going to, I'll leave it a little bit more thickness. Like that. I'm going to position it about there, so I'm going to want to pull this out a little bit. Select that face, Control plus a few times until you get all the edge loops, and then pull it out. And we have that kind of a thing. Okay, I need to take this edge. I want to extrude this in, but I think if I press E to extrude, well, fortunately my normal arrow is still working, so I'm going to take that and scale that in like that. And that's probably going to be okay. I might scale the whole thing a bit bigger. When I texture this, some dirt will go in there. We won't really see that hole. All right, how's that? That's roughly what we have there, isn't it? I just want to make sure I'm happy with the angle, so I'm going to just focus on these parts, /key, just to have another look around this. And I think it's fine. I don't think it's going to be a problem. And so now I'm going to consider this. So I've got 2 subdivisions on that. Can I get away with 1? I probably could. 1 on that, none on that, and bevel on that. I want to join these. I'm going to apply that bevel, and I'm going to join those 2 pieces there. This one, I'm going to apply that. I just want to have a look. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll come back in here and I'll delete some of these edges or dissolve some edges, and it won't change anything. Or mostly anything. I actually need one in there. Alright, so I can take that and I can join those now. And this guy, I'm just going to live with the 1. Actually, before I do it, I'm going to do this. If I apply that subdivision right now, I don't like this. Although I can easily fix it, I suppose. I'll just do this. Alright, I'll take this one and I'll Control plus and I'll get rid of those vertices. I actually prefer just, not that, that. I just prefer it, okay? It's just the way I am. So I'm going to get rid of that and do that. Okay, so that's applied. We're going to join. Good, we're ready to go. However, this is not in a perfect position yet. Yeah, all right. I can put on some, I can put on weighted normal and normal's auto smooth, and that will help the shading of that. Very soon we're going to start switching to these colors. Okay, so we need to take that and rotate it down to this position. So I'm going to take my sphere and go in and bring my 3D cursor there. I'm just going to switch back to global. I'm going to switch over to 3D cursor, and I want this guy, and we're going to Shift D, and we're going to rotate. And we're going to hold down Shift when we need to, and we're just going to position you roughly here. All right. All right, so that's a start. We've already been going for a little while on this video. And so what I'm going to do is I'll quickly show you how to get these colors in the viewport, and then we'll come back next time and continue to model, because it does take some time. It's not difficult, but it does take some time. And so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to switch over to matte cap. And by the way, as soon as I do that, you see how silvery and dark these look? That's because some of my faces are flipped. All right, so I'm going to select everything if I can, and Alt-N, recalculate outside so it's all blue, and then it should look healthier when we come back here. Yeah, it looks a lot more consistent. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to select there. I am in matte cap, but I'm going to switch to color, under here, color to object, and come down here to the object properties, and viewport display, open that up where it says color. Choose a color that you like, that you think is going to be good, something like that. But I'm also going to switch my matte cap to, you could use this one or you could use the metal one. And sometimes the metal one is a little bit harsh. Let's start with that one. Okay, and this really could use a subdivision. Let's just put it on for now and have that. Okay, then I'll switch to the metal one. Now that we have that, let's come back down here. Let's click on it, and over in hex, let's Control C to copy that, and then let's just put that. And you, as far as I know, you have to go individually, Control V on these. You can't like group them together and linked or anything, as far as I know. So I'm just going to come around and select all these pieces that have that color, that goldish color. In order to get the silver on here, watch what happens if they're joined. I join them in order to move them easily, so I'll have to take those valves on the ends off in order to do that. I'll do that in a minute. Okay, what am I missing? This one, and those are going to get joined very soon, but for now, I'll just do this and this. Yeah, there's more to do for sure. Okay, and let's do that like I had said. Let's come in here and take that and this and Control L for linked, P to break it out now that we've copied it. And this one is just going to be this whitish, sort of a whitish blue color. Like something like that, and now I'm going to just copy that, and we'll come down to this one, do the same thing, select a piece of that, select a piece of that, Control L, P to break it out, and we'll paste that in there. And this one is going to be like a red color, so I'll do that, copy that, and put that on the base as well. It doesn't look good with that whole sphere there. We're going to switch now to the metallic one, and you'll see it looks more like the background. All right, so, and you know, there's nothing wrong with turning this stuff off and, you know, modeling your thing, and maybe we'll put on shadows, and, you know, taking a screenshot instead of setting up a bunch of lights and all of that. You could still make your models, even if you know nothing about materials, you can make them look really cool, cartoony. All right, so let's leave it at that for now. And yeah, bring that back. And we'll pick up next time and do a whole bunch more modeling. Okay, thanks for watching.